And now here's our president, not even a month and a half into the conflict, which we are not winning, by the way, because the Straits of Hormuz are not open. There's one way to keep track. That's the measurement. Saying that we're going to use our military to kill the civilians of this country, to use the US military, our military, to destroy civilian infrastructure. Iran is a modern country. What happens when it loses power? Well, people die. Babies connected to incubators die. People in hospitals die. It is vile on every level.
Tucker Carlson leveled the harshest criticism of Donald Trump, offering a scathing monologue, calling Trump out for threatening Holocaust on the Iranian people. Now, before we get into it, Cenk, he even defended Muslims in the face of Trump's mockery of the Muslim faith and more. Your 2 cents.
Yeah, I was shocked by how severe this was. So he basically talked about how Donald Trump's not a real Christian. And there's a fact in here that I never knew that is devastating about Trump in regards to the Bible. And in fact, some are saying, and I can see why having watched it, that he's implying that Trump is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
That is, wow. Tucker Carlson, who helped Trump in all those elections, now saying that Trump is evil. It is amazing.
Now, Tucker Carlson's monologue came out prior to Trump threatening to wipe out Iran's civilization. However, the monologue came after Trump had posted this on Truth Social. Tuesday, by the way, this was on Easter morning. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. Now, before we get to more video highlights, I want to address what Tucker had to say about Trump and the Bible. He apparently noticed that when Trump was inaugurated for the second time, he didn't put his hand on the Bible. I didn't notice that, but apparently Tucker did, and it bothered him, but he just kind of ignored it, didn't say anything about it until the issue came up, and he mentioned it in this monologue. And so he feels that Trump didn't put his hand on the Bible because he was intending to carry out some of the actions that he's been carrying out. And some interpreted what Tucker Carlson had to say there as calling Trump the Antichrist. I didn't get that feel, but maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention.
He kept talking about this is not Christianity.
Right.
And this is something else, something different, something opposed to Christianity. Okay, so now you could say maybe he was referring to another religion. Clearly wasn't Islam because he said positive things about Islam. Or, I'm not a Christian, so I'm not that well versed in what is the opposite of Christianity. But we've all heard in popular culture, Satan, Antichrist, etc. And he kept saying this is the opposite of Christianity, and saying like, why did he not put his hand on the Bible? That shows you that he does believe in the Bible and that he's planning to violate that oath. That's why he didn't put his hand on it. And he talked about how this kind of like stealing from the Venezuelans is the opposite of what Christ would do and what Christians would do. Threatening to kill all these people is the opposite of what Christians would do. So it was super heavy criticism and very much on religious grounds.
Well, as someone who grew up going to Sunday school every Sunday until I was 19 years old, I appreciated what he had to say about Christianity because I think Christianity, thanks to so-called Christian Zionism, has been bastardized in this country. People have been brainwashed into thinking supporting a foreign government is what will get you into heaven. Luckily, the church I went to wasn't brainwashed by that unhinged Zionist ideology, but I hate the fact that Christianity has been smeared as something that it is not. But putting that aside, Tucker Carlson also had some thoughts on what Trump had posted on Easter morning, and here's what he had to say.
It is vile on every level. It begins with a promise to use the US military, our military, to destroy civilian infrastructure in another country, which is to say to commit a war crime, a moral crime against the people of the country, whose welfare, by the way, was one of the reasons we supposedly went into this war in the first place. They're being killed by their government. We have to rescue them. And now here's our president, not even a month and a half into the conflict, which we are not winning, by the way, because the Straits of Hormuz are not open. There's one way to keep track. That's the measurement. Saying that we're going to use our military to kill the civilians of this country who didn't choose the war. They got nothing to do with it. They're like civilians everywhere.
Now, unfortunately, Trump only doubled down on his threats this morning, writing the following on Truth Social, essentially threatening Holocaust. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen, who knows? Today, luckily, it was announced by Trump that Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire. And we've been skeptical of that only because Trump is a pathological liar and usually says that there are good negotiations happening because he wants the oil markets to respond favorably to that. And by the way, the fact that oil markets do respond favorably to that should make you realize that the markets are just built on a house of cards, total BS. However, the New York Times is reporting, you can do with that what you will, that Iran has also agreed.
Yeah, but it goes, no, it's way more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Because Iran is declaring victory and they're saying that Trump accepted their 10-point plan and will now pay reparations to Iran for the war. That is not what Trump said. These guys are talking past each other.
They are.
They're not even negotiating. So Trump said we'd consider the 10-point plan, which is backing down massively from what he said before. Now the Iranians are saying, good, okay, he accepted the 10-point plan. We're expecting our reparations. And we have won this war. They're declaring victory. So none of that happened. The Iranians are not correct. They have not won the war. They are not going to get reparations. Trump is not correct that the Iranians agreed to open up the Strait of Hormuz.
And they're not directly negotiating. They're speaking through Pakistani negotiators or mediators, I should say. So that's important context to keep in mind. By the way, guys, we're live right now, obviously, and this story is developing rapidly. So please bear with us as we give you updates, throughout the broadcast. But let's get back to Tucker Carlson and what he had to say in that last clip that we showed. Cenk, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so look, he keeps pounding on this message of opposite of Christianity. Then he got to Paula White, and Paula White is this ludicrous Christian Zionist preacher, like almost all of Trump's preachers are.
A charlatan.
Yeah, and she started comparing him to Jesus Christ. And that's where Tucker really lost it. And he's like, that is the most sacrilegious thing you could do in Christianity, to compare any human, let alone a politician, to Jesus Christ. What are you doing? I mean, and then he says, you got these dopey beta pastors in the background nodding along with this. No one is Jesus Christ, let alone Donald effing Trump, right? So what Tucker is doing in terms of getting that message out to millions of right-wingers who watch him is enormously important.
So important, yes.
We couldn't get that message to them, but Tucker is getting that message to them, and they're beginning to see with their own eyes. Yeah, why didn't he swear on the Bible? They're comparing him to Jesus, are you kidding me? And he's saying Jesus would murder 90 million people in Iran? No, he wouldn't, he's called the Prince of Peace.
He also addressed how depraved and evil it is to intentionally target civilians and civilian infrastructure, which, make no mistake about it, the United States and Israel has been doing in Iran. It gives me so much shame to admit that, the United States is involved in that, but we are, and we need to be honest about it. Take a look.
Blow up their bridges? Bridges on military bases? No, just bridges. Bridges that people cross every day to go to school and work and to worship, and yes, church, because there are over 1 million Christians in Iran. This is their Easter too. And power plants. Not the power plants attached to missile factories, okay, but civilian power plants in a country of almost 100 million people. What happens when a modern country And a country that has a nuclear program is a modern country, sorry. Iran is a modern country. What happens when it loses power? Well, people die. Babies connected to incubators die. People in hospitals die. And those are the first level effects. And then people begin to starve. And then you have refugee crises. People leave the cities looking for food. And then, yes, they move into other countries. In the region, in Europe, in the United States, you cause chaos and death, mass suffering and death when you do that.
And I just want to quickly address the typical talking point that you'll hear from Zionists or even, war-happy Americans who want to defend our involvement in this war. They'll say, well, but the Iranians, they chant death to America. Did you know that in the 8-year Iran-Iraq war, when we were on Iraq's side, not only were we supplying Iraq with typical military weaponry to try to defeat Iran, which by the way, they didn't. That should be a hint as to how this war is playing out, but nonetheless, we also supplied Iraq with chemical weapons that they used against the Iranians. So you tell me, if the empire that provided chemical weapons to your foe and used those chemical weapons against your people, like if that took place, would you say favorable things about the country that supplied the chemical weapons and killed your people? Actions have consequences. And if you want to understand why a foreign country has a population that would chant something like death to America, maybe dig into the reasons why they would chant that. Because I guarantee you, a country that's left alone, that we've done nothing to, isn't just gonna randomly start chanting death to America out of nowhere. Okay, they don't hate us for our freedom. Let's just put it that way, Bill Maher. And if you're listening to Bill Maher for political commentary and foreign policy advice, please reconsider, okay?
Yeah, so look guys, because of all the anti-Muslim propaganda in American mainstream media, you might not know this. You might think that most of the Muslims in the world live in the Middle East and are Arabs. Not remotely true. In fact, there isn't a single Arab country in the top 5 Muslim countries. The #1 Muslim country in the world, most populous one, is Indonesia. And has Indonesia ever chanted death to America? No. This has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with Islam. We never attacked Indonesia. Do you know why we never attacked Indonesia or had someone bomb them with chemical weapons or or depose their democratically elected leaders? Why did we never do that? Because they're not next to Israel, right? So the other big Muslim countries are Pakistan, India, Nigeria. So all of those never chanted death to America. Why? Because we never attacked them on behalf of Israel.
Right.
So,
well, Pakistan, they have nukes, so that's probably why we haven't attacked them. But,
but overall, as long as you're not next to Israel and Israel doesn't want to take your land, you're going to be fine. And we're not going to attack you and you're not going to hate us. The reason they hate us is because we constantly keep attacking all of Israel's neighbors and using our money, our troops to do Israel's evil bidding. So of course they're not gonna like anyone who's attacking them. That's the most obvious thing in the world. Look, Tucker went even further and I was surprised at this. But I know he was against what we did in Venezuela, but he was very adamant. Like it is unchristian to steal their oil.
Yeah.
That's not a Christian thing to steal other people's property. And the main political point he was making is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? And if you don't, eventually it has political and geopolitical consequences. And eventually it might come to a point where people go, we're doing the law of the jungle and God's law doesn't matter, human rights doesn't matter, the international law doesn't matter. Well, now we're gonna take America's stuff. By the way, there's already a country doing that, and that's Israel.
Yeah.
Just one quick note from one of our sponsors, Shopify. We use them as well. If you're setting up a shop for any business you're doing, you'd be crazy not to use Shopify. Look, we tried a bunch of others. Shopify is definitely the best. They've got this big purple button that makes it much easier, the Shop Pay button. So it gets rid of all the friction. We've already gone through all the pain of trying everyone else. Trust me, you got to go with Shopify. So best way to do that now is to sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT. That's an excellent offer. Jump on it now. I was looking at some Earth Day and climate change designs on Shop TYT and really wanted to order a few shirts. I was ready to check out, but then I realized I left my wallet in another room. It's so frustrating. I really didn't want to get up and look for it. Then a light bulb moment. Shop TYT is powered by Shopify. And there it was, the familiar purple Shop Pay button. One tap and you're done. No getting up, no hunting for a card. That friction-free checkout experience is all thanks to Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform that powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Thanks to their hundreds of stunning pro-level templates, they can help your brand stand out from the pack and highlight what makes it different. They did for us. They make it even easier by bringing everything under one roof, managing your inventory, tracking payments, and analyzing your data. Plus, you've got built-in marketing tools and email campaigns ready to help you grow your audience. Oh, and that magic purple Shop Pay button that I mentioned. It's a game changer. It's the reason Shopify runs the highest converting checkout on the planet. See fewer carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.